Hey everyone, and thank you so much for tuning into my channel. My name is the Lady Designer, and today I would like to discuss with you guys the future of Planet Zoo, something we do every other month or so, especially now when there's so much going on with the Frontier layoffs and the current state of Planet Zoo with crashes and franchise issues. So yeah, I thought it would be a good time today again to talk about the current state of Planet Zoo and the future of Planet Zoo, at least what I am expecting to see for the future, looking at the current numbers of Planet Zoo, starting with the official Planet Zoo game YouTube channel. I just quickly wanted to have a look like what the views did per Planet Zoo pack and the launch trailer. So as you can tell right over here, we have the Eurasia Animal Pack launch trailer, which only has 56,000 views after 3 weeks. Now, if you look at comparisons right over here, for example, we have the Oceania Pack launch trailer, which has almost double the amount of views. Well, more than double the amount of views actually. So that does give me the feeling that the Eurasia Animal Pack wasn't that popular comparing to the Oceania Pack right over here. Looking at the Animal Pack, Arid Animal Pack launch trailer, this one had 134k views. So yeah, it's pretty even, a little bit lower. The Oceania Pack is a little bit lower comparing to the Arid Animal Pack, as you can tell. The Tropical Pack was also at around 124,000 views, and then if we go lower, the Grassland Animal Pack was definitely doing a lot better, and I think that's also mostly due to the fact that we got some butterflies in this one. So people were at least very curious to see what was going on for this pack. And then looking at the Twilight Pack launch trailer, which has 120,000 views. And if we go down here, we have the launch trailer of the Conservation Pack, 170,000. So you can pretty much tell that interest is slowly declining, with an exception here of the Grasslands Animal Pack. But yeah, comparing to all the other launch trailers, the Eurasia Animal Pack is definitely not doing so well if we just only look at the views here of the launch trailer. And in all honesty, for me personally, it's not super surprising because I think this pack for some reason was, yeah, the least exciting, especially looking after playing with it for a while. Yeah, comparing to all the other packs, this one definitely was not super exciting to me, especially looking at the past year or two or something like that. So then I would like to go to SteamDB, a website you can also visit yourself, of course, if you want to, and a website that we cover a lot more often lately, just to see how games are doing from Frontier. So in this case, I would like to check the 1 year statistics right over here, and you can already see the same type of trend happening right over here. So here in April, we had the Tropical Pack, and normally what you see with these Planet Zoo packs, also if you look at the past 3 years or everything, you can see these type of peaks, and these peaks pretty much tell you when a new pack has launched, and then mostly or very often the highest peak is calculated on a Sunday. It says a Monday here, but this is definitely a Sunday after the pack has launched. So yeah, this one was, I think, the Tropical Pack that we got with a solid 11,000 players, or at one peak that is on that Sunday after it launched. And then right over here, we got the Arid Animal Pack, if I'm correct, with a total peak amount of players on that Sunday after the game launched at 8,641 players. And then right over here at the 18th of September, this was the launch of the Oceania Pack. And then the Sunday after that, we had a peak amount of players of 9,506 players. And then, yeah, well, there is not really a peak here. So we got the Eurasia Animal Pack. I think it was somewhere over here. And yeah, you can tell that the amount of players, the peak amount of players, is pretty much gone. And I've been watching SteamDB for like a few weeks, just to see if like maybe there was an error on the website and something would be corrected later on. Like, no, nothing that just happened. This was actually the peak that we got. So say, I don't exactly know the date anymore when it launched, but this was the peak after the game launched, which was only 6,642 players at one time on that Sunday after the pack launched. Now, one thing we do have to note is definitely during the holidays, the peak didn't really go up, but we did get a very stable amount of players here. So I'm not entirely sure if this also would make up the amount of new players that entered during the holidays, which would have maybe entered here during the peak, like what we would have normally seen or something like that. Not entirely sure, because I've never seen something like this happening before. Not even if we look at December of last year. I'm not entirely sure if I'm able to try and find that here, but let me just try it. So here we have the data of 2022, which is actually quite interesting because this would be the peak after the Grasslands Animal Pack launched, which also wasn't that high comparing to, for example, this peak right over here in October of that same year. And then you can also see that in December, the amount of players actually also did go up slowly due to the holiday break that many people probably had in this case, with the last peak right over here at the 8th of January, which was probably the end for most people, their holiday. And then after that, you can see it slowly going down with another peak here at the end of January. And then we went down a lot more again. So yeah, looking at this data, it's not looking super well. But yeah, if we compare it to the Grasslands Animal Pack last year, it may not be as bad as I first thought it would be. But then again, looking at the YouTube views, that definitely doesn't look very well. Now, why am I covering this? Maybe some of you are wondering that. Like, obviously, we had the Frontier layoffs announcement last year, which meant that almost 200 people or something like that lost their job at Frontier before Christmas. And in case you did miss that, there is like 5% left of only the community managers. And I don't even want to know how many people lost their job that were working at Planet Zoo at this point, or in general at Frontier. I think the game is definitely going to get a very hard time this year, keeping up with a good state of the game and still providing good DLCs for the game. Because let's be honest here, if we go to the Planet Zoo Steam page and scroll all the way down to the reviews, you can also tell that the amount of negative reviews are also going up the past holiday season. Which is probably also due to the fact that more people are playing the game. But let's also not forget the fact that Planet Zoo, since the last free update with the modular souvenir shops, is pretty much crashing for almost everyone that is using the modular gift shops in their zoos, ending up with corrupted save files. We already made a video about that, so I'm not going too much in depth to that. But I also really heard a lot of people having issues with franchise mode, which is a very popular game mode in the game, which is since the last update just pretty much unplayable, since many people are experiencing server errors pretty much every 5 to 10 minutes, which is just super frustrating. Other people are not able to get any animals from the market. So yeah, Frontier went on their holiday break right before Christmas until the first week of January, leaving the game in a super bad state. And I can only imagine that there are a lot of new players that bought the game maybe via the Steam sale, got into the game, got super disappointed about the current state of the game, maybe even got a refund, or just in general will maybe not even touch the game anymore after playing it for this holiday season. And it doesn't really matter if Frontier is able to fix this very soon in January or not. there will be a big amount of players that will not return back to the game anymore due to the fact that they're simply just super disappointed. And I can only understand if people do, honestly. But clearly there will also be the core players of Planet Zoo that hopefully will always return again when there are some new fixes or when a new free update or DLC has launched. And if we go back to SteamDB and just simply look at the amount of players that are currently still playing the game on this Sunday while I'm recording this video, which is the 7th of January, we right now had like a peak amount of players in the last 24 hours of 6,800. And then if we go to other games at Frontier, we had a peak of 1,919 players for Planet Coaster, which is still pretty fine if you ask me, especially for a game that have not received any DLCs yet for the past 4 years. But it did go down quite rapidly in the past half year or so, and I think that was mostly due to the fact of Parkitect. I think maybe Parkitect has some extra attention or maybe a DLC or something. I don't play that game myself, but I did notice that Parkitect had a nice incline of amount of players exactly around the same time that things dropped right over here. So I think that's simply due to the fact that some people are playing Parkitect now instead of Planet Coaster. And then looking at Jurassic World Evolution 2, when I spoke about the layoffs in my other video on the channel, I actually thought that the community of Jurassic World Evolution was very excited for the last pack that launched in December, being some very highly requested animals. But yeah, also looking at the other peak that they had in August, for example, it wasn't quite as good, but still it did have some kind of peak. And the total amount of players of the last 24 hours was 2,500. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I guess this game is doing pretty stable other than the peak that we see right over here comparing to their other DLC that they had. And then looking at Elite Dangerous, even though this game didn't have any more DLCs, I think this was their last DLC in May 2021, if I'm correct. But yeah, after that, it did went down, and especially after December of 2022, the numbers of Elite Dangerous definitely went down. So yeah, I do hope that Frontier, like Elite Dangerous is definitely the baby of Frontier. And for them, I do hope they are able to reverse this again with either fixing the past DLC that they launched, which had a lot of bugs and issues, or simply providing the game again with a very good DLC or anything like that to pretty much bring back new life into Elite Dangerous. But yeah, overall, still, Planet Zoo is their best performing game, even though the numbers are declining and the interest is probably also declining looking at the views on YouTube. So I actually find it super hard to make a conclusion out of this. I definitely don't think that the last pack was their greatest pack, and I think that is definitely something we can read back in the analytics of SteamDB and YouTube so far. But I also did have hopes that maybe with the layoffs and stuff, and Frontier changing their plans to focus more on creative management simulation games, maybe also bringing back some life into Planet Zoo. I had some hopes they would. But I think looking at the Eurasia Animal Pack and the roster that we got, I have the feeling that Frontier is really wrapping up game development of Planet Zoo. They already did announce that there will be a new creative management simulation game launching at the end of 2024, or at least that is my guess. It's going to be in the financial year, so somewhere between April of this year and April of next year. So most logical launch day would be somewhere at the last quarter of 2024. So I feel like that leaves us back with probably 2, maybe 3 more DLCs for Planet Zoo, maybe even an anniversary animal at the end of the year. Although if they will extend it to the anniversary update and give us another free animal, then I would think that maybe December will still get another DLC. I find it a hard one, and something inside me tells me that at some point I heard one of the community managers say like that the game would have around 200 animals. And I cannot find back where I heard this or where I read this, so I cannot confirm that, but something inside me constantly reminds me of that, which is only 20 animals away. So it could potentially be that we will be seeing only a few more animal packs, or maybe there will be one more animal pack, one more normal pack, and maybe then one bigger animal pack DLC to just also give a little sign like, hey, this is the last pack for Planet Zoo. Because someone also did mention to me recently, like, yeah, I somewhere read in an interview or something with Frontier that they always try to bring in like one last bigger DLC before really wrapping up development without properly announcing it. Now for Planet Coaster, I did already knew that the Ghostbusters DLC would be the last DLC. So for me, it was never a surprise that after the Ghostbusters DLC, Planet Coaster development ended. But for some reason, this message was not really landing to some of the Planet Coaster community, unfortunately. But I always knew the Ghostbusters pack was their last DLC. And then looking at that information being like, yeah, the last pack of the game could be a bigger pack to kind of tell the community like, okay, this is the last thing, that would match up with Planet Coaster and the Ghostbusters DLC, because that was indeed quite a big and quite a good pack, even though it was not per se my specific interest, the Ghostbusters pack. I can definitely see why that would be like their last big thing for Planet Coaster, if you know what I mean. So yeah, it could definitely be that there will be one last big bang, well, a big bang, like a bigger animal roster or something, or maybe a little bit more expensive pack as well to wrap up the development. But that is obviously just speculating. We have to wait and see if that is really going to happen. But that obviously does remind me of the fact that we should check Jurassic World Evolution and their packs, because that was obviously the first game of the Jurassic genre that they launched. And if we go back to the Steam page and just check right over here, I think this was 17th of April. Can we see, is that like in a right order? Or is that not? What was the last pack? The 10th of December seems to be the last pack for Jurassic World Evolution, if I'm correct. So that means that this one was indeed a bigger pack of 1999, which was the last pack for Jurassic World Evolution, Return to Jurassic Park. So that actually does confirm the idea that the last pack of Planet Coaster and Jurassic World Evolution were both a little bit bigger than the other packs, or at least this one was more expensive. Let's just check Planet Coaster real quick. So here we are on the page of Planet Coaster. If we go down, we can indeed also see that the Ghostbusters pack was $14.99. So I think it's really fair enough to say that Planet Zoo, if there will be a bigger pack this year, that will be the last pack that Planet Zoo will be launching for the game. So that is definitely something we need to keep an eye on, because if I am correct with like a maximum of or around 200 animals and we still need 20 animals left, that could definitely mean that maybe we will only get one more building pack. Maybe we will get a 15 animals pack after that for €15, and then finishing off the development of Planet Zoo. Could obviously also be that there will be one more normal pack with 4 to 5 animals, and then maybe 2 animal packs, although then it will be a little bit different when it comes down to a bigger pack. That could actually mean that we will only see maybe 2 more packs, so that the last pack will be dropping in June or July of this year. Oh my gosh, yeah, okay, that could definitely be a thing. But then again, if we go back to SteamDB and the amount of players and seeing how at least still well this game does compared to any other of the games that Frontier owns right now, gosh, it is so hard to try and predict what is going to happen with this game. Unless like their new game that will be launching at the end of this year is going to be something like a Planet Coaster 2 or something else that they are expecting to be very big, I think then it is fair enough to think that Planet Zoo will be ending. But also, if there is going to be a big game launching at the end of this year, I do feel like we are going to hear about that already in April or May of this year, because with Planet Coaster and the announcement of Planet Zoo, this was also around the same time. So if things will go the same as Planet Coaster, of which the development ended in June of 2019, and then Planet Zoo dropped in September, or at least the beta dropped in September, and then the game launched in November of that year, it could definitely be that there's only 2 more packs left. We will be seeing a new game announcement in April or May of this year, and then Planet Zoo will be wrapping up this summer. I think that scenario is probably the most likely. Also looking at the layoffs, that they did lose a lot of employees. So every employee that they do have right now will probably need to focus on their newest game that they will be launching to pretty much make sure that they won't fuck up. So that is definitely something we do need to keep in mind. Even though the game still has quite a nice amount of players, there is a slow decline in the amount of interest. So yeah, it's definitely a hard one, but I am just super curious to hear your thoughts about this as well, looking at the data that we just looked at and listening to my rambling for the whole video. Do let me know in the comments down below how you guys feel about the future of Planet Zoo at this point. Are there seriously still people out there that are expecting a Flying Birds aviary pack or full aquatic pack? I am not. I really am not expecting anything of that anymore, even though you guys know by now that it's my deepest wish that they will be giving us these type of packs. I really lost all the little bits of hope that I had left with the Eurasia Animal Pack. There wasn't even a single aquatic animal in there. There was a beautiful bird in there, definitely, but I just don't really see it happening anymore. And I really don't think that that big bang that we may see at the end of the development will be one of the two. I mean, in all honesty, it will be very late to now still start with flying birds or full aquatic animals, because there is a huge animal roster still behind that we all really would love to see. So that would not be an end DLC. That would have been, for me at least, the pack that they would be launching right before Christmas to get back the hype into the game, to get back interest into the game, to get more eyes looking at the game. And they missed that chance now for me. I really don't see it happening, especially now that we know that there will be a new game launching at the end of this year. I really hope I am wrong, guys. I really do hope so. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Leave a like at the video if you guys enjoyed this video, and subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. And yeah, I just really do hope to see you guys on the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye, guys!